Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our special live stream, second season. I'm Tana.
Hey, I'm Topi. I'm excited to be co-hosting this with Tana. The session will be such that we'll be mostly on the background and giving our amazing guest the most time. Resty DJ Guild is a West Coast swing DJ community. That's the aim is to provide a safe place for DJs to network and share their music and improve their DJing. And we host live streams, run Facebook group. We are having some blogs. We are trying to showcase the what skills and connection and everything you need for the West Coast swing DJ.
Yeah, and we are also committed to creating a culture of trust and respect in the West Coast Swing community. And we really want to foster creativity and also collaboration among the DJs so that we can really provide the best experience, not only for us, but also with the people working with us.
So now we are thrilled to have for today our special guest. He's a champion level dancer, competitor, over 20 years of experience, over 22 to be exact. A top international dance instructor and coach, a head judge in a lot of on the nasty circuit, and US Open certified primary judge as well.
We can definitely speak about Chuck's impact, which is truly global. He has taught in, I don't even know how to count how many countries, 30, 40, 1,000. He is also the co-owner and a co-event director of the After Party, TAP. And he runs his own judges training course called iPower. So please join me in welcoming the phenomenal Chuck Brown. Hello.
Hello, guys. How are you?
How are you doing? It's
Good
a
to
very
see all of
big
you.
pleasure to see you today. Really, thank you for joining us. We've been talking about this for ages, and finally, it's happening.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm excited too.
So for the stream, it's mostly gonna be Chuck doing the talking, so we can get as much information as we just can.
Exactly. So we'll discuss how as DJs we can make the right choices to provide an enjoyable, efficient, and consistent experience for all the parties involved. Well, shall we dive in? Chuck, the floor is yours.
So before we start the slides presentation, I just want to give a uh, few things for my background about music. So and just talk about music in general for West Coast Swing. One of the things that makes West Coast Swing so amazing, as we all know, is that we have such a wide variety of music that we dance to and and uh, and enjoy. And that's a positive side, but also can be a very negative side for our community as well, because each and every one of us has a very specific genre of music we we bond to more than others, and sometimes we get in the habit of saying something's bad music when it's maybe just bad music to us individually. And this is something that's come up to me, over the years, and competitors will come up and say, "Oh, that music was terrible," and then some competitors say, "That's the best music I've ever heard." So I just want to, before we go into anything, just remember, music is very personal, and it's very subjective as far as what is good, what is bad music. I know I'm definitely a music snob, as Tana and and Topi and all the other that Goichi knows. You have the famous Chuck songs that the whole world knows. Those are my favorite things to dance to. But that I'm not everybody. So some of the songs that people love, like Lauren, my partner, I can't stand, but doesn't inspire me. So with that said, I just want to go over a few basic things for being a DJ um, from a chief judge's perspective. And before we go into this slide, I want to talk about one more thing. As a chief judge and as a judge, our job is to create the most level playing field possible for competitors. And when it comes to Jack and Jill competitions or Strictly Swing competitions, it's very, very important that we make the music as fair and as inspiring as we can. I want to talk about why it's important for music um, to be looked after or monitored a little bit more than we think it should be. We have DJs have the uncrazy task of making and helping create the vibe of the event and the competitions. Not only do we have they have a responsibility to the competitors, to the judges, uh, to the event itself, and to the overall West Coast Swing community globally. Because what DJs play gets posted on social media, and that, based on what kind of music we're listening to, can attract or not attract people to our community. So I think it's really important, especially with the modern age of social media, that we really think about our music when we're playing for competitions, and not just play what we think is comfortable and safe. So, with that said, let me go on to the slides. I'm going to talk about some things that I want to. I'm gonna approach this in two ways, guys. I'm gonna approach it from an overall music perspective and from a judge's perspective. So let's talk about music selection. So you can go to the first slide. West Coast Swing DJs play a crucial role, like I said, in the tone and energy and the vibe of the event. Um, there is an overlap between competition DJs and social DJs, and everything that I'm going to be discussing today can has a lot of overlap. However, there are definite distinct abilities a competition DJ needs to be aware of and practice to really excel in that position. And as I mentioned here, by really focusing on the elements I'm going to talk about, we can create a level playing field for the competitors. We can where they can showcase their skills, they can be inspired, they can entertain the audience, and more importantly, create a memorable competition atmosphere for the community and the event itself. Because how many times that we go to an event and we're like, man, this music the DJ played in competition just makes the competition, it makes the dances memorable. And I don't think that's coincidence. I think there's logic behind that, and there are factors that can affect that. But if we think about that, we really tend to gravitate or remember dances that have a very unique music music structure, or and it's quite interesting. So to be a good competition DJ, you need a combination of a few things. One, you have to be technically proficient. Um, you have to have good music knowledge and understand West Coast Swing and its community, feeling or understanding of human interaction. I think this is really important because as a DJ, when you first start, you tend to want to play things that you like. That's what creates a DJ style. However, you have to understand the humans that you are playing for to really get into their soul, get into their mind. Once you get into their soul, you create inspiration. Once you create inspiration, you create movement. When you create movement, you can create creativity. So there's a chain reaction of what happens. You know, some of my peers and I, we talk about this all the time, saying that sometimes people always ask us, well, why do the pros leave so early? Sometimes in a late night setting or something. Well, a lot of it, it's not always the case, but a lot of it has to do with fatigue, of course, but also the music is not inspiring. So we don't want to dance to stuff that doesn't inspire us. We all do, and we can't. Every song's not going to inspire us, but that's something that we really have to think about. All right, can we go to the next slide, Tana? Now we're not going to go into the technical side of DJing. I have a full course on a West Coast being a West Coast Swing DJ, but we don't have 5 hours to do the intensive. So I'll just say technical stuff would be knowing how to use a soundboard, knowing how to use your DJ software, knowing how to set up your audio and your cables, knowing how to work with lighting. The lighting creates mood in the ballroom. Can you adjust your playlist to accommodate or uh, accentuate the lighting mood of the ballroom? There's so many technical things you should know as a DJ. Uh, but I'm going to focus on music selection as it relates to a DJ and as it relates to a judge. So can we go on to the next slide? Okay, let's talk about the first thing about selecting music. Danceability. What the hell does that mean? Is the song appealing? Uh, does it does it make you want to move? Have you guys ever sat somewhere like at a restaurant and some songs playing in the background, and you'll notice your foot starts tapping, your body starts moving, your head starts bobbing. This danceability is really, really important. And danceability, in my opinion, has a couple elements. One of them is rhythm and groove. We'll talk about most of these. Tempo, the structure of the song, the emotion and energy, the musicality behind it, and the lyric content. All six of these things can really make or break the danceability of a song. Okay, let's talk about rhythm and groove. Now, these slides are not all encompassing. There's a lot more to this, but I just kind of highlighted what I feel, and based on my experience, are key points that you guys can ponder and think about. Like I said, this is not a map for everything. Just take this with a grain of salt, and if it helps you guys, uh, feel free to think about it. Okay, rhythm and groove. Does it have a clear downbeat and rhythm structure? What do I mean by rhythm structure? We'll get there in a second. Is the downbeat consistent and can dancers follow it easily? A downbeat should be prominent to help the dancers stay in time. However, we all know that as the dance level increases, this prominent downbeat might be um, might be a little subtle. It might go away, especially in Chuck songs, as you all know. Lauren always, when we choose demo songs, she's always like, Chuck, can we please have a beat for this demo song, please? Like, no, no beats, Lauren. So I think every piece of music has a heartbeat, and we all know that, even if it doesn't have a clear, steady, um, identifiable audio audible downbeat with a bass drum or some kind of instrument, we can still feel a pulse of that music. So, but when we talk about lower divisions, we want to make sure we have a clear rhythm structure and a clear downbeat. It's really, really important. I would also say that a clear upbeat would be more beneficial for the newcomer and novice divisions as well, but we'll go through that later. Okay, rhythm variations. Now, we all know we dance 4/4 time. Most of our music is straight time, and I'll give some examples later, but most of our that we what we dance to is straight time. We do dance swung rhythm, but it's very rare. And we usually don't dance swung rhythm until we get to the higher levels. You're not going to play Fly Me to the Moon to a novice level. Most DJs won't play that. So, most lower divisions are going to be dancing straight time most of the time. Swung rhythm is, of course, the basis of our dance, but we don't dance to it too much. To a fact, I was teaching a music class a few years ago, and I had a person who was brand new in the class. He wasn't a dancer, but he's a professional musician. He goes, "Can I ask you a question?" He goes, he asked me, you keep playing all this music that's straight time, but you call this West Coast swing. Why don't you dance the swung rhythm? And I'm like, touche. 1 point new dancer, 0 point instructor. It's because West Coast swing follows the modern age of music and the trends of music. And swung songs are not as popular, worldwide as in our genre as straight time. Now here's the double icon, Tresillo rhythm. Now you all know we dance to a lot of Tresillo rhythms in West Coast swing. Now there's a lot of controversy on this. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but remember, Tresillo is not samba rhythm, so do not confuse the two. Tresillo rhythm is actually a swung rhythm. I don't know if a lot of people don't know this, but Tresillo rhythm was originally called a Caribbean rhythm. It came from the Caribbean areas, the islands. It was an island rhythm, but it was also a basis for a lot of the early swung rhythms that they developed in the 1920s and 30s. So Charleston and some of the early forms of Lindy Hop were actually danced to Tresillo rhythm. And of course, there are a lot of samba songs that also dance to Tresillo rhythm. Samba dancers that dance to Tresillo rhythm, but it's not a samba rhythm. And I say that because I grew up playing as a percussionist, um, conga, and that kind of stuff. So there is a difference. But Tresillo rhythm is a swung rhythm, and we can talk about that in greater length. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. And guys, if you want to, I can give you some links on YouTube. There's a lot of great, Shape of You is a Tresillo rhythm, but I can here's one. Let's try this.
Good for me at least.
Boom, cut, boom, cut, boom, cut, boom, cut. Try another one. Boom, cut, boom, cut, boom, cut. Try another one. Boom, cut, boom, cut, boom, cut, boom. Boom, cut, boom, cut. So you guys hear all that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So these are all Tresillo rhythms or Caribbean or island rhythms. So we all, and this because Zouk is really popular, and Zouk influence came into West Coast swing, bringing a lot of Tresillo rhythms. But yeah, so guys, I can give a playlist of Tresillo rhythms if you want. If you guys want more information, just reach out and DM me, and I'll send you some songs and some YouTube videos that you guys can watch. Maybe I can post them. But there's a lot of great content on YouTube from percussionists explaining the difference of all these rhythms: 4/4, 3/4, 6/8, 12/8. But there's also those are times. There's also a lot of good YouTube videos on rhythm structure as well. So samba rhythm, a samba rhythm. Let me show you what that sounds like so you can hear the difference. Here we go.
Without rhythm, your heart would beat. Without direction, without mood, and without shade. And so
another samba rhythm. Can you guys hear the difference between the samba and Tresillo? Anybody have a problem with that?
Thank you for making us understand that there is a lot to learn left for us.
Yeah, guys, like I said, I have a full DJ course that goes through all of this. We can talk about that later. I'm going to be releasing everything new in mid-August. So if you guys are interested in taking that, I'll give Tana a link and they can post it. But I've been putting this class together for a long time. But yeah, so anyways, rhythm structures. We got to make sure that the song has a good and consistent rhythm structure, right? Now, what is groove? Groove or swing feel that makes dancers connect with the music and each other. Groove is a rhythmic feel, a sense of flow in the music that makes you want to move or dance. It's created by the interaction of the beat, the bass, and other musical instruments, giving the music a sense of swing and momentum. Even with straight time, you can still feel this groove. And I think groove is something we all individually can feel. Like we're all dancers, so when a song comes on and there's I call it the pocket. There's a pocket of music that just makes you want to move. It just Lauren, my partner, Lauren Jones, she'd always say, our friend Jens, who runs Rock the Barn, he said, the one way to torture Lauren is to tie her hands and tie her feet and start playing music. Because if Lauren doesn't move to music, she feels very very upset. So it's kind of the same thing for all of us, right? When music comes on, we want to dance. Am I the only one who hears music in a market and starts dancing to it? Don't we all do that? Or in a car? Topi?
Yes, we do.
Just wondering. So and then okay, here's one of my biggest ones. So for you DJs in here, this is one of the ones that really gets me. And I'm going to tell a story about this in a few seconds to give you a case in point. So engagement. Choosing music that is engaging and evokes a physical response, making dancers want to move. I'm going to repeat that. That music that engages, that invokes a physical response. So let me explain. One of my old dear friends, the late Kenny Wenzel, one of the first DJs ever in the history of DJing. He's kind of the father of DJing in West Coast Swing. He gave us a little contest when I was just coming up. I think I was a novice dancer at the time, maybe intermediate, maybe back in the late '90s or early 2000s. We were at a bar and it was a swing dance in LA. It was a West Coast swing dance in LA, and there was a couple at the bar sitting there drinking, talking to it, engaged in a very deep conversation. And we were at the DJ booth with Kenny. He goes, give me 3 songs and I'll get that guy on the dance floor. And I'm like, and he didn't know him. He didn't know him. He was a fairly, I think he was an out of town dancer, fairly new. So we all put our $5 on the table and bet Kenny that he couldn't do it in 3 songs because they were really engaged in a very deep conversation. First song comes on, you know, doesn't really do anything, but he starts manipulating the tempo of the song and raising the tempo, and also he kind of got more energy into the room doing that. And then the second song comes on. He upped the tempo a little bit more, and then he started controlling the volume of the and he kind of played with the speakers as well, and he kind of like moved more of the sound back towards the bar. The guy starts tapping his finger and starts moving his body to the song. It was an old Stevie Wonder song. I remember it. It was Superstition or something. And then the third song comes on, and he goes even a little bit faster, a little bit louder, and he gets the guy to grab the girl and go on the floor within the first 10 seconds of the third song. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, first of all, he made about $200 that day. And I I was like, my God, this guy's a master. But I just remembered how he was very strategic with the way he played with tempo and the genre of the song and the engagement the song made. It made him physically move his body. And I was like, my God, that is just legendary. That's why he's the Hall of Famer. And Koichi, I think, probably is the only one here that met Kenny. I think probably he's the only one here in the chat that got a chance to meet him. But anyways, moving on. Next slide. Tempo. Okay, we want to make sure that the tempo range is appropriate for the level that you're playing for and the dancers that you're playing for. Are they older? Are they younger? And there's so many factors we need to consider. Now, we typically on a nightly basis average between 80 and 120 beats per minute, as we all know. There are slower and faster contemporary pieces there are slower and faster songs that can be played for more advanced level of dancers. But for the most part, a good range of music is 80 to 120 beats a minute. You really can't go wrong from a tempo perspective there. Now, when you start getting to 140, 150, or going down to 65, 70, you're really asking newer dancers to really fail. So we got to really make sure that we stay in a range. I say my pocket range is playing for most divisions, especially lower divisions, is 90 to 110. That's where I try to aim for most of the time. 100 is a really good soft spot for most lower divisions. Now, upper divisions, when we'll see later, we want to vary this tempo range. Now, we want to make the tempo consistent. I do not like songs that change tempo, and it's very rare that songs do that. But you can get this in jazz and blues and some other genres where the tempo can be manipulated by the musicians. Also, it can be manipulated by the DJ. So we do that for reasons of energy and what have you. But we want to make sure the tempo is consistent. and we want to make sure that we select the tempo based on the danceability of the song and the energy level of the ballroom and what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, exactly.
For those who didn't read my comment, I spoke about The Boy Is Mine by Ariana Grande. It came out this year, I believe. And just the beginning of the chorus goes just a tiny bit slower. And,
Yeah,
well, so hard to use it in a contest. Well, it's impossible
it's
to use it in a
really hard
contest.
to use that in the context of a competition. It can really screw with people. Now, we play with things fun wise, and we can do that for like a fun Jack and Jill, and play with the pros and do different things. But for the most part, we want to stick to a good tempo. Okay, moving on, Tana. Okay, structure. Now there's a lot to structure of music, and we're not gonna there's all I could spend 5 hours just on structure, but we're not gonna talk about all that today. Let's see. What are your thoughts on DJing, changing the BPM a bit to make it more consistent? Yes. Before we go on structure, Koichi has a good question in the chat. I do think that we can do that. And as a DJ, we want to make sure the songs are. And we'll talk about that later when I talk about from a judge's perspective. But yeah, I believe that doing that is something we need to be able to match. But no, what he's meaning is like sometimes, let's say one he gets a song 110 beats a minute, and there's a song that's 104 beats a minute, but is the same genre, same feel. Can you elevate the tempo manually to kind of make it more fair tempo wise? And I say most DJs do that.
Do you do you have a like how much is the maximum you can
I
like
say
is
anything
5?
more than yeah, I think anything more than like 6 to 8 beats a minute is too much. I think you shouldn't be playing that. Ten beats would be a maximum you never want to do. Just choose a different song. There's plenty of other songs. But I think a small deviation, Koichi. I've always said that. I mean, I know you're really good at doing that. So, but yeah, but I also said that's very dependent on the level. Obviously, we'll talk about that too. Okay, let's go back into structure real quick. So time signature, we all dance to 4/4 time mainly. We can sneak in a 12/8 like Gary and Susan when they won the U.S. Open a few years ago. They danced to a 12/8 song, which is not the ideal situation. I would say, from a judge's perspective, don't play other timing signatures. Stay with 4/4 time. Don't go to 3/4. Do not play a waltz. I've had many cases in the past 5 years, well, 10 years, but it's been quite common in the past, like maybe 2 or 3 years, that DJs are sneaking in waltzes 6/8 time and 12/8 times in Jack and Jills, especially lower divisions. And I have to basically boycott that song and have them play a different song, which creates more time for me in the competition. So DJs, don't go off time signature. And if you're not sure about the time signature, get ask somebody, and I'll talk about that later. We want a predictable structure. This is a big one for me because even for higher level dancers, you can play with this, but predictable structure, 32 count, 48 count bar blues is fine, but it's got to be predictable. Predictability in dance can lead to great moments, and great moments lead to memories. If you're playing something that's not predictable, you basically have to know the song, and if you don't know the song, you're kind of handicapped. In my opinion, I think that predictable structure is key. That doesn't mean flat, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. Predictable
Yeah.
structure means it's not jumping around from. Predictable structure would include flat songs. Would be something you wouldn't want to play because the structure is not really. There's no evidence of good phrase changes. No evidence of flat songs can be predictable, but they can also be not very predictable because there's really nothing in the music to hit, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so predictable structure is important.
So Chuck, I was thinking like to me, my thinking is that it's kind of even more important for the higher divisions because they are usually playing with the structure even more.
Yes,
Like
correct.
if there's an unknown zone, so it's like even like you can screw them super hard if because they are like expecting it to be like what they are like used to, and then if it's not, they are like doing something that
Okay,
looks really
I
weird.
will. Here, let me give you a case in point to a song that's not predictable structure. Hold on, let me show you something so you guys can get a feel. This is in my champions song Jack and Jill list. Let me play this. Try to find a predictable structure, guys.
dance we know the moves, the bow, the dip, the woo. Though the words are true, the state is old news.
So that song is one of my favorite songs to dance to, but I only will play that for a Champions Jack and Jill. I would not play that for any other divisions. I would not play that for another division because that song, why it may might you think it might be predictable, the music, the layers are very unpredictable in that song. So it's very difficult for people to really do something with that song unless you know it. So that would be a song, an example of a non-predictable song. Let me play a predictable song so you guys can hear something. Hold on, predictable song. How about this one? You know that snare drum's gonna repeat again. Here we go. So that snare drum's very predictable. Very predictable. I have a yes, Topi. First is unpredictable song. Second one is predictable, which is Adorn. The first song is Coffee. Topi, can you post the songs in there if you can?
Yeah, I posted the Facebook link on the chat for the coffee
Great.
Sylvan Essa, and we'll post it on the posts in the Facebook.
Okay. Now let's talk about length. Now we all know that a typical song in Jack and Jill's needs to be one and a half minute to 2 minutes. Now, of course, it depends on the structure of the contest. If I'm doing mini spotlights, three, four at a time, I want at least 2 minutes per heat, obviously. And this is all discussed with the chief judge. For most songs, we want to keep it 1 minute and 1.5. The only time that I will have an exception to this time frame to keep it consistent is on the third song of a prelim Jack and Jill, where we are running behind, the judges are done, and I can have you guys fade out early. So my job, obviously, as a chief judge, is to control the DJs on the third song, so I can accommodate my judges and where they are. So, example, they're both done by 20 seconds into the third song. You still want to continue to at least go 1 minute to make it fair, but you can fade it after that. If we're in a time crunch, then that's pretty much the only exception that I would say that can be used. And that's only on the third song of a prelim based on the chief judge's recommendations. If you have any questions on that, let me know.
So basically, would you say that like when I'm like screening the songs for the first two songs in a heat, like I need to screen the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, that if there's something in 3 minutes, some weird stuff or something, that's okay. But for the third song, you more likely want to have something that you can play for a bit longer even.
Yes, Topi, good point. So on the third song, I always recommend DJs find a song that's a little longer in length, because sometimes most of the time I can't go to 4 songs, guys. Only in maybe novice or intermediate finals. For the Jack and Jill prelims, I can't, as a chief judge, go to 4 songs because that adds 20 minutes per heat. So I can't do that. So have a third song and make sure the third song is a little bit longer just in case I need to extend. And you all know that as a chief judge, I will go like this if I want more length on the third song, or I'll give you a thumbs up or cut it off when I want the song to stop, or give you an indication where the judges are done. So always have a third song that's a little longer in length. I definitely recommend that, and I can add that to my notes. Whether there's so much structure, we can do a whole classes on this alone. But that's a general overview of some structure, the things you can think about. Next slide, Tana. Okay, music variety. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail on this because there's so much in this category as well. I think I've got 14 slides in this one, but let's just talk about a few things. Music variety, genre and subgenre diversity. So we all know we dance to many genres such as blues, pop, R&B, contemporary, acoustic, versions of all of these, hip hop, house, and even theme songs like Disney to keep the competition interesting and challenging. Now, of course, subgenre would be, let's say, blues. We have slow blues, we have driving blues, we have different regions of each one of these genres. We have Memphis blues, we have Texas blues, we have Chicago blues. So there's all sorts of subgenres with each one of these. But I'd recommend you try to keep the genres similar, especially the subgenres when you are playing for a Jack and Jill. You don't want to play some driving blues that's from like Tennessee and then go to some kind of slower, moody Chicago type blues in the next heat. That's not fair. So even though you're playing blues, there's a very big distinction between subgenres in a lot of these cases. Of course, we know there's tons of subgenres in R&B. You know, there's Motown. There's even funk is considered part of R&B. So like I mean, there's a lot of different subgenres. So just make sure, just for your notes, make sure that your subgenres are equal. You're not going, even though you're in one genre, make sure your subgenres are the same. Now, the mood and energy of the song, we all know this. Koichi, this is the one I talked to you about a lot, and Tana, when we're doing competition music. The mood and energy of the song and mixing the songs, because you want to take people on a journey, right? You're trying to create a journey with your music. So you need, just like as a social DJ, you need to bring people up and down. You can't keep them the same level for 2 hours. Same thing as a competition DJ, you need to create a story. You need to create mood and energy. So that energy needs to be up and down. So you've got to think about the way what you're doing with them. Are you creating a mood of romance? Are you creating a of of energy, or through your music? Are you creating a mood of sadness? What is your emotion that you're going for? What kind of emotion and energy are you trying to play with? And try to keep that consistent with all the heats that you're playing. So when I'm doing my notes, when I'm doing my music, sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm looking for a song for this division. I have a high level of dancers in this division. I'm going to create a really emotional, loving connection with the second song. I'm going to create a groove with the first song. I'm going to create a high energy feel for the last song. So I open with a medium level energy, calm, cool, collected. I move them down into romance or some kind of emotional feeling. Then I end with high energy to leave them, with high adrenaline leaving the floor, and the audience all pumped up to get on the floor and want to dance.
There was a question about like spotlights and stuff like that. So I assume for most part, we are at the moment we are talking more about the heated competitions for now, and then maybe focus a bit more on the spotlight
Yeah,
kind of
I will,
different heats
I will go
later.
back. I'm going to be talking about each division in a few minutes, guys. So hang on to your thoughts. But yeah, so all of this music is can be used in finals and prelims, guys. They're symbiotic, means they can be used for both. But there are definite songs that lean better towards for spotlight finals. But for the
So
most part, the music that you play in prelims should be very similar and just as good as the ones you play in finals. There shouldn't be too much of a distinction. I think a lot of DJs get in the habit of trying to make a distinction between the two, and there really isn't. A good song is a good song is a good song, and that song should be. I always say for DJs, your song selections should be able to stand up in a finals anyways. If your music's good enough, that song should be able to be played in the finals as well. So that's my thought. Now there is, when we get into higher level spotlights like all star, even advanced all star and uh, and champion level, there are some key elements that are a little bit more. The focus of the music's going to change, and I'll talk about that later. Okay.
Chuck, do you think like the different the novice prelims and the semifinals and like whatever in between there should have, like, if you have like three different layers in a big competitions, that like the first should it be different kind of music in different kind of points, that like if you, let's say you start with hip hop and R&B and a swing song, should you like, can you still have this exactly the same three different like genres in the next one, or do you want it to be then the acoustic and hip hop and swing or whatever, like
Look,
a bit different?
as long as that is level dependent, right? If it's level okay, if it's appropriate for that level, I think that you should select a consistent variety between the heats, between prelims and semis or quarters. I think playing the same stuff all the time, it gets a little mundane. There's a fine line between challenging the dancers to a point where they just from a judge's perspective, we'll talk about that later, but from a judge's perspective, you are a competitor's uh, biggest support. You are not there to challenge them. You are there to help them. You want to make their dancing the best they can ever dance. You want to give them tools so they can dance the best they can dance, not challenge them to where we are trying to make them fail. That's a big problem with mentality with a lot of DJs, especially higher levels. Let's play something at All Stars that really makes them work. Yeah, great, you can do that, but challenge them, but make sure you're doing it in a way that they can benefit by that song and create art from that song, and do it in a way that judges can really identify what we need to judge in a fair and consistent manner between one competitor and the next. The emotional range we talked about, we want to make sure, I want to talk about this real quick. We talked about the energy level, play the appropriate energy level for the ballroom, the mood, everything. And I'm going to talk about this too. Like when I went back to the human communication section when I first talked about this, an example of energy would be if you know the community or something has gone through a bad time, why do you want to play an energy level that feeds into that? Or if you know some competitors on the floor in finals went through a bad breakup and they're really struggling, even though they both made finals, why would you want to play an energy level that could really, it could be pros and cons. So these are, there's no right or wrong answer on this. But just think about that from a human perspective when you're choosing energy levels and the songs you're picking. Now, the emotional range at the higher levels, we are trying to create we're trying to allow dancers to display a range of expressions and ways to tell a story through their movement, through their dance. If you play flat songs that have no layers and no emotional content, you are handicapping these dancers. We can dance to them and we can do okay, but it's not going to be the best show. It's not going to be the best for judges. The dancers are not going to dance their 100%. It's going to be very boring. The audience is going to be bored, and it's going to bring the energy down the room. It's very important that you think about the emotional range of the song. Now, this is where we're going to go into some of the more detail. So, adjusting skill, you want to make the song suitable for each skill level. What the hell does that mean? Does that mean a novice? There's only songs for novice, only songs for champions? No, everybody can dance to everything at any given time. However, the efficiency and the execution of how they dance with that music for the skill level can really affect the judges' scores and what we need to do. For instance, Budapest this year, I didn't like and Bavarian Open, I didn't like the set that Nicholas, even though he's a damn good DJ, I didn't like the set he played for advanced finals of Budapest because it was too fast. There was nothing in the music. Pretty much every dancer was off time. They couldn't keep up with the tempo of the songs. It really handicapped the judges and the competitors. So while the energy of the songs were good, it from a judge's perspective, it really hindered us. And it really made it really difficult to even, and then whoever got the simplest song won. The one that could be danced to. Remember, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but remember that song can win a Jack and Jill. At the high levels, the song is what usually wins it, not the competitors. You give the best song to any of the champions, they have an equal chance of winning. Now, of course, there's some champions that are a little bit better than others. There's always 3 levels within each level, right? But for the most part, if you play the right song, you can really handicap or give a good weapon to a dancer in a competition. So, music should be selected to match the skill level of different competitive divisions. For newcomers, simpler, more straightforward, and well-known tracks are better. In contrast, more advanced divisions can handle complex layers, variety of rhythm structures, longer intros, emotional depth, and musical nuance, like the song Coffee. A lot of musical nuances. Now, here's one. This is a big one for you people in Europe and Asia. Of course, I'm international as well. I don't usually live here in the US too much, but inclusivity. This is a big one. So you play a French song, you're a French DJ, you play a French song for a competition in a Jack and Jill, you could be handicapping every non-French dancer on the floor because it's not something that they listen to on a regular basis. You are giving unfair advantage to somebody. If you are from India and you play some kind of popular song from India, even though everybody can dance to it, you're going to give an unfair advantage to that person from that region. So you got to really think about, and you got to try to avoid these niche tracks that are very regionally appreciated or understood. So just think about that. I mean, it's really important. This is why when you go to a lot of French events, you have. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, Kenny. For real. I shouldn't be talking because I'm one of the DJs that likes to play really outside the box. I play Broadway and I play opera and I play all sorts of things. I love pushing the envelope for certain times, 4 o'clock in the morning when we're all loopy. But this for competition, we want to make sure that we really pay attention to the inclusivity of the song. Does everybody have access to this music? Does everybody have the ability to hear this on popular radio or what have you, or events, or through their friends? All right, levels. Here we go. Division recommendations for judges and for DJs. Newcomers, music should be beginner friendly with a steady, clear beat and a simple structure. Avoiding long and complex song intros. This is a big one. Do not have really long or complex song intros. The music should, and here's a big one. Underline this, please. Music should be popular or well known. Do not challenge a newcomer division with some new trendy TikTok song that you heard last week. A song for a newcomer. Let me find one. Very steady beat.
I got dirty thoughts comparing
A little bit faster. The faster range of newcomers.
This the remix. Is Miami in the house? Is Atlanta in the house? Is New York in the house?
So you get the idea, right? Something really simple, straightforward, steady beat. Everybody knows it. Everybody can sing along with it. Your job, let me tell you this, your job is to, in all divisions, make the dancers sing the songs. Make it so good that they can sing the songs, especially lower division. When they sing the song, their nerves go down because they're more comfortable. Their nerves go down, timing gets better. Adrenaline goes, everything is a chain reaction. Play a song they don't know, play a song that's not known. Now you're really causing anxiety in the dancers. So really think about that for both newcomer and novice. Now, novice division, music should still be beginner friendly with a steady, clear beat and a simple structure, avoiding long, complex intros. Same as newcomer, but now a more of a range of genres can be used. So now this isn't absolute, guys. This is just my opinion. Some examples of novice would be something steady beat, but
Red jeans hanging by the back door. James Dean, I know what you came for. Me.
She gotta shake a little something, shake a little something. Ooh.
a little faster.
I've been feeling lonely. I need someone to hold me. Come on, baby, hold me.
Now, the next song I would play for novice, you guys might disagree with me. Queesh is probably going to fall out of his chair, but I would play this for novice. Now, why would I play California King for novice? Most of you DJs would probably not play that song for novice, right? Tell me what my advantages as a judge would be by you playing that song. Any ideas? It's got a steady beat. Exactly. I know, Koichi, you got to. I knew that would get you, but yeah, correct. Yeah, Tana, it's a separator. Exactly. So I use that song to kind of weed out the really close timing issues. It's a steady. I think it's about 83 beats a minute. I can't remember. Topi, do you know what it is? I don't have my beat measure on me.
I'll check it.
I think California King may be around 85, 9. I don't know where it is, but everybody knows it, so it's known. It's inspirational because it's new and popular. but it also has a really slow cadence, tempo to it, a slower tempo, which really can isolate timing issues. Whoever survives that song goes. Having a separator song for especially semis is really important. Now, prelims, I'm not really concerned with it, but for a semi division, for you DJs in here, for your notes, I definitely would try to find a separator song. And for separator songs, please double check with the chief judge if that song is a separator song. It's really important that you double check. Pikachu. I know. I know all you guys be like, what? But it really is a good song for novice. It really is. But remember, separator songs really can help me out as a judge, especially the bigger events like the Budapest or Asia Open, the TAPS, like French Opens, those big events where novice is just stupidly talented. I need separator songs to really help the judges out. All right?
So we are now 1 hour in.
Yeah. I know.
So for us, we are happy to continue now with the stream, but I think for the content, for the afterwards upload, we'll probably cut it in 2 halves. For the people who's now listened to the first part, thanks for joining Pine. Tune in for the intermediate, advanced, and all-stars and champions part. And there's actually a lot more cool stuff. What are you most excited about for your last slides, Chuck?
Going through what the judges want is what I really want to get to. I'm going as
All right.
fast as I can. So,
Yeah. Don't worry. We have plenty of time for such a great information. Just letting you know for now. Okay, so guys, see you next time in that part 2.